Hello, my name is Orca and welcome to this showcase and tutorial of a Piglin bartering solution. I have Piglins in minecart so they don't despawn. There is 3 layers, each has a light on it, maximum size portal right here. In this top dropper there is a gold ingot ready to be bartered with. For each piglin you will need a piglin, of course, a minecart, a rail, a dropper, a hopper, and then you will need a block, a comparator, a node block, and 3 observers with a sticky piston. And I will show you how this all works. Enjoy and have fun! I have prepared for you a chest full of gold ingots from a fictional bartering farm, gold farm. I press the button so the card goes and you can see that all the lights turn off and on, and we let this piglin barter with our gold ingots, which will be picked up by the dropper, and we see it is soul sand. The note block sounds you hear are indicators that there is stuff being sped into the portal with this smart spit system. The card will just do its rounds, and when it's here we can see that the comparator reads out quickly the chest and changes the rail to have the card go back on its way. A comparator, a redstone torch on a block with a redstone line that changes out that specific rail there. If there's nothing in the card anymore, the rail won't change direction and it will return to its base. So you need a comparator, a couple of rails, and it will go into its loading bay. You can set up as many loading bays as you want. I have a second card ready. Here we go again. Card still has stuff in it, so it goes another round all the way to the top floor and back. Checking again if there's actually stuff in there as the lights indicate. Let's see what this piglin is bartering us. It was so fast we could not see what goes through the dropper, so it probably is a one item thing, so a potion or a set of boots or something like that. Meanwhile, the card will just keep going. The flickering is there. It's not laggy. It's just a short flicker when the item gets dispensed to the piglin. And you see there's still a gold ingot in there. So you will need you can use any size portal you want. Maximum is 21 by 21. Per piglin you will need once again a hopper right there and a hopper down there, a dropper and another dropper, a cart, some powered rails, some blocks, depending on size and how many piglins you want. A redstone light if you want to have indicated if there is actually stuff in there, it's optional. A rail for the piglin to sit on, a dropper, and then this circuit with 3 observers, a sticky piston, a building block, a note block, and the comparator obviously that I don't point. Note block because you can manually click it on in case it gets stuck, and in case you need to stop it from clicking, you can click it again and it stops. Other blocks don't allow you to do this easy. Detector rail onto the dropper, a normal rail, and powered rails to get the cart moving is also what you need. And that second powered rail is being powered by that detector rail, so the cart keeps going over all the rails and then returns. We went to the overworld and this is how it looks on that side. Just a normal sized portal closed off by 6 trapdoors on each side. There's a hopper minecart actually unloading everything that comes through the portal. And with some magic it will land in this water stream right here. As you can see, there's a whole bunch packed up already, ready to be sorted out through this short ImpulseSV Sorter, which deals with the fire charges and the spectral arrows. 8 sets there. Then we have this little complicated piece that this ether hopper clock right here with 8 items in there will flicker, as you see on screen, whenever an item is let through. The barrels are just there for backup. They don't do much, just storage. This part sorts out the potions from the brewing stand with the brewing stand. It's fairly complicated. Then we have a piece that will sort out the boots by having an armor stand right there and a dispenser with arrows on the other side that will shoot off every time there is an item coming through. If it's not sorted by a potion and it's not a boot, it will shoot over that slab into the hopper. That has to be an open one. So then we sort out all the books with this chiseled bookshelf. These land in here, and as you see, I have quite a collection from testing so far. There is some small circuit at the back here. We have a double dropper tower into the simple impulse sorter, but I'm using honey and water instead of the usual hopper line. Let's see if there's anything extra in here. No, it's not. So we have nether bricks on 2 sides, because it's a dropper, items can go through that wall instead. So nether bricks, obsidian, ender pearls, soul sand, gravel, nether quartz, blackstone, string, iron nuggets, crying obsidian, leather, more gravel, and more ender pearls so far have come through this system. So let me show you how this all is built in the next few sections. And if you take that thing apart into different sections, you get something like this, where part of it is already built. And on this side, I'm gonna show you the materials, the extras that you would need. Not building blocks, but like filler items, and in that case, the minecart you would need. On this side, each of these plots will have a length, a depth, and a width, a height. It's in this case, for the first section, including a normal sized portal, you would need a space of 9 blocks tall, 5 blocks deep, and then 15 blocks wide. For the second section, you would need an area that is 6 blocks tall, 8 blocks deep, and 11 blocks wide. For this third bit, the by far most complicated build in the whole set, you would need a whopping 10 blocks in height, also 10 blocks deep, and then 17 blocks wide. This teeny tiny part, very important, 8 by 8 and 5 blocks tall. This also complicated. It looks complicated, but it's not as complicated part. You would need an area that's 17 by 11 blocks deep and then 12 blocks tall. And for this part, this is ImpulseSV, his item sorter with honey and water. And I put in item frames so I can see what goes where. I have a huge area set up, but I'm gonna do this as a time lapse because Impulse has a very good video on how to build these. Mine is just sectioned off into parts of 5. That is for easier counting. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then 10 more is 70 slots for items to go into. You won't need 70 slots, it's just overkill, but I like to have a little bit of wiggle room in these cases, because in case all the previous steps fail, in case the book sorter, the boot sorter, or the potion sorter fails, it will go into this catch-all. So I like to have 1 or 2 sections of 5 that isn't filled in and is basically overflow for the rest of the thing. I used lanterns here for lighting. I used honey so the items will stay on the ice and simultaneously will go over the hoppers that have sorter items in them when you're done. These are all set up. with a chest at the or a barrel at the start and or the end, except this part, because this is the very start. Everything will be in the portal. The minecart will suck it out from under the portal. Important note with this part is, if you are using a wider than 4 blocks base, the amount of powered rails and building blocks will also increase by that same amount. Because as you see, the amount of powered rails is the exact width of the bottom of the portal. So if this is 10 wide, you will need 10 powered rails, and make sure that your block is placed where they can power all 10 of them. And of course, you need to make sure that this set of 3 blocks is aligned on a diagonal with the bottom block of the portal. This is functioning as a stopper block for the minecart, so it is useful to have it one over from where your portal ends. You definitely need a bucket of lava to go into the cauldron. You need a bucket of water. For this part, you need 2 honey blocks, so we can use the 1 less pixel of the honey block to make it go into the hopper. And then there's a chest. If you want, you can build each segment by itself and manually transfer from this chest to the next one. You can also line up your next build, this chest in this case, with the chest and or the barrels of the previous set, because this one ends in 2 barrels with 2 hoppers, and this next part starts with 1 barrel and 2 hoppers, which are lining up with the previous section. Same here, this ends in 2 chests, 1 for the potions, which you can lead to wherever you want them to go, and then 1 double chest for everything that's not a potion and made it through the first Impy sorter. Here with the book sorter, once again we start out with a double chest, which if you are wanting to can line up with this one right here. You don't have to, you can build these in different sections, just make sure that then both the bottom chests and the top barrel and or chest is reachable to you. Same here. We start with a double chest and we end in 2 different barrels. This right barrel in this case is for everything that is a book, and the left barrel is everything that is not a book. And then here I started with a double chest coming in. And it will shoot from this dispenser onto an armor stand from this dispenser. The armor stand will be shot from this dispenser. So you can end this in a chest for a double chest actually for everything that came through so far. And then there's a little sort of system back here that will recycle the armor stands. And because armor stands stack to 16, you need 10 armor stands right here. And for items that will never come through, or renamed items as I have here, the items will filter through here. If it's an armor stand, it will just leak through the bottom into this dropper fader into the dispenser, so they will get recycled, which is why you only need 9 stacks here, 1 really placed there, and then the 10 for the filter. So 10 stacks of armor stands should do, and everything else that so far came through ends up in this chest, from where you can sort them through the Impy sorter right here. Impy sorter is the simplest thing I can have. The only addition I have is of course a double chest with a hopper from the previous section right there, a dropper, comparator, same as I have with the Piglins, just a different block, because the thing I was gonna build, it was gonna be in a cherry grove biome, so I picked cherry planks right here. And that's why also the first impulse sorter is also a cherry plank based, but you can pick any building block you want. I put in lanterns for lighting, cherry slabs, because once again cherry biome, so that makes it easier. Sections of 5, You don't have to. You can make these longer. Just make sure that I like it when there's a gap so you can have the water restart over there. So sections of 8 could work too. That's totally up to you. You can use a hopper line. That's fine too. It's just might cause some more lag than having items into a water stream. They will just keep recycling until they have found a slot. If you want, you can use these last 2 sets as overflow, or you can all fill them up from your very first bartering setup. Let's start with building number 1. For this very first part, assuming you will get a generated portal, you still need 14 obsidian in case you need to move the portal. But if the location of the portal where it is fine for you, then you don't need to move it. You can scrap the obsidian. You can use any type of glass you want. You can use any building block you want, and you can use any slab here you want. The dirt is just a block to hold the water in underneath. If you are not building this in a void world, you can just use any block you want right there. You just need one as a temporary block to hold the water in. Anything else you see here on the screen is what you need. You need a cauldron. You need 12 trapdoors to lock in the portal like that. You need 4 powered rails, but as I said before, if your portal is wider than the default 4, you need to adjust the amount of powered rails to that amount. 4 normal rails, 2 chests, 2 pieces of honey block, 3 hoppers, 2 observers, an amethyst cluster, which is the biggest one. You need silk touch for that. 1 block of redstone, a cauldron, 1 detector rail, a temporary block to hold the water in, a dispenser, a dropper, 1 piece of mud, a node block, and any slab you want. You also need a bucket of lava and a bucket of water, a flint and steel in case you need to move your portal or it gets destroyed, and 1 minecart with hopper. For the area, you will need a 5 by 15 wide area. And once again, if your portal is wider, the length of 15 goes extra. Mine's 4. I'm just gonna work with the default Minecraft generated portal here. Once again, reminder, if your portal is wider, the plot needs to be wider too. It needs to be accommodated to that. And you need a area that is 9 blocks tall. Also in this case, if you have a custom portal that is taller than the default 5, then of course this build is gonna be taller. So let's start. So on your very bottom layer, you start with building out 2 chests right here, a double chest. 1 of your hoppers goes into one side, and behind that you place your temporary block. On your hopper, you place a honey block. And to keep the water in, we're going to place 1 glass on each of the honey. And then 2 more back. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And a building block in between those last 2. Then we place down a temporary block. There, and there. You place a note block on that one. An observer facing the note block. Hold shift down to make it not boop, but actually place. A dropper there, and then a hopper going into that dropper. And now you can remove these 4 pieces of temporary block. 1 temporary block right here, and then here we build up by 3. 1, 2, and 3. These are the 3 blocks that are aligning just 1 off from the portal. From this middle one, you place 1 building block, your redstone block, and then 2 more building blocks. On the observer, you also place 1 building block. On the dropper, you place a dispenser, and on the hopper, you place your cauldron with lava in it. On this building block, on the other honey block, you place your honey, and you make the wall too high, 2 blocks tall on each side, so the water won't escape. We place a rail on this block, and then we waterlock that rail, so the water flows into the honey block, and the items will actually sink and go into that hopper. And don't do that. It ruins everything. Quite badly. Dang it. In this gap here, we place one observer with the face up and the redstone dot down into the node block. Place your 4 powered rails here on the observer, the detector rail, and 2 more rails right here. And the last rail goes on top of the mud, which is on top of the cauldron. On the other side of the mud, on the bottom side, you place a slab. And we fix this rail that got wonky because I misplaced. We're almost there, and this is how you line it up with your portal. Right there. Place a temporary block next to this slab, and place a building block with your amethyst crystal on top. Remove your building block, and fill in this area with 8 more glass blocks, so you can skip the place of the slab, of course. So you don't need 9, you need 8. And then we place the hopper minecart. You can place it into this dropper right here. And then when you start bartering, you only need to boop the node block so it starts going. Or what you can do is place it directly on the rails like it is in the schematic right now. All you have to do now is finish up your portal. And while you're doing that, place 2 temporary blocks right here for the trapdoors. Flick them open. Place also 2 temporary blocks on the other side. Place them. Place 2 trapdoors, and once again open them up. 2 more. And then 2 more. 1, 2, and 1, 2. And close off the portal. On the top line of the portal, place 2 temporary blocks. Place 2 trapdoors, hold shift, and place 2 more trapdoors and close them all. This is, so if you open them like this, you can still use the portal if you want to. If you don't want people to use it, you can just leave that shut. On the other side of the portal, we do the exact same thing. 2 temporary blocks. 2 trapdoors and 2 trapdoors once more, and we all flick them shut. Then we open up the bottom one, we grab a flint and steel, and we light the portal and close the last trapdoor. Should like this, look like this, without the lines and without the floor. On to the next section. This is a real short build, and it's basically in ImpulseSV Sorter. Let me grab material. So for the Impy Sorter, you would need 48 blocks of your choosing, 36 hoppers, 28 chests, 24 redstone, 8 composters, 8 comparators, 8 repeaters, and 8 torches, and 2 barrels. Extra items you would need is 4 spectral arrows and 4 fire charges. And for each of these you would need 4 filter items. I grabbed some filter flesh, renamed rotten flesh, from the gold farm, and because we'll be getting those. But you either need an item here that is not coming through the system at all, or rename it to something so the game thinks it's a different item. Let's go start building. For the bottom layer, you will need an area of 8 deep, 11 wide, and 6 tall. On one end, you'll start with just placing down some blocks, 8 to be exact. And we start by placing down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chests with 8 hoppers going into those. And the last hopper is the connection to the next part, so it just points down right next to everything. On those building blocks, you place 8 repeaters. On the back of these 8 repeaters, you point at the 2 pixels of the repeater and place 8 times a building block. On the other side of the repeater, we do exactly the same thing. 1 of these, and then 7 more. On these blocks, you place 8 torches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we place some chests on the previous chest. And the other side, we make double by placing them on the hoppers. And sometimes this doesn't go right. You have to shift and aim at the side of the chest to make these doubles. And on that one lonely hopper, we place another hopper. On the lonely hopper, we place 1 barrel. We place 8 hoppers going down into the chest. And behind those 8 hoppers, we place a platform of 3 by 8 in building block. This is for the sorter item bit later. And we can place 8 pieces of redstone dust on that bottom block right there. Then on these, we place 8 comparators with the rest of your redstone dust on this block and then on this block. You should have 16 left and now 0. And 8 more hoppers going into those comparators. You can aim at the 2 pixels of the comparator and shift click to place your hopper into there. And the last hopper goes into the barrel there. Another barrel on top and then a line of hoppers going into said barrel. Not that one. And then on top of here, last bit, a double chest, which is the same double chest as the previous step. And then 8 composters on top of these hoppers to prevent lag. The only part you need to do so far is fill each of these with a filter item and your arrows and your fire charges. It doesn't matter which you go first, as long as there is 4 pieces of filter item right there and then 1 either fire charge or spectral arrow in that one. If you do spectral arrows, it looks like this. So you have 4 hoppers that look like this with a fire charge, and you have 4 hoppers that look like this with a spectral arrow. And if you've built everything correctly along with me, it should look something like this. With a repeater on 0 ticks hiding in here, redstone torches here. Impulse has an amazing video linked in the description on how this exactly works, why you would need these items, and I will link it in the description for you guys so you can learn how this actually works and not just build along. On to section number 3. For this section, you will need 50 building blocks, 50, 29 redstone dust, 10 hoppers, 9 repeaters, 8 observers, 6 sticky piston, 5 redstone torches, 4 blocks of redstone, 4 chests, 4 comparators, 3 slabs of any kind you want, 2 barrels, 2 fence gates, a brewing stand, a dropper, a lever, a note block. And I picked a pumpkin, but you can pick any block you want for the note block to make a distinctive sound. And you will need 8 blocks of your choice or items to fill the etho hopper clock. The etho hopper clock in this case will make sure the items trickle through. if you look at this repeater right here with my cursor on it, you will see that every now and again it will just blink. There it was. That means that one item from this barrel will be going through the system. And when that happens, there's this note block that will produce a sound if you have your note blocks on. And that's why we need the pumpkin, so it's a distinctive sound from all the clicking and the other things you will hear in this contraption, like the very distinctive sound of the trapdoors. You need to, and the pistons. You will need a distinctive sound to let you know that this note block is going and that there are still items coming through. So to build this, you will need an area that is 17 by 10 blocks deep and 10 blocks tall. We start by placing a line right here. That's the third in and the fourth in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip one in the middle and then 1, 2, and 3. Next to this one, we turn around and we place the chest that will go to the next part. So we have a hopper going into there and then a hopper going into that. And there we have one more chest that is the end station for your potions. On top of the end station for your potions, you place a hopper. And you also place a hopper onto the one that points into the other one. I'm not making sense, I know. Both hoppers that we just placed get a redstone block next to them, like this. Here you will place a building block, a slab of choice, and then we make a 4x2 platform. From here, 4, and then 4 on this side. A sticky piston goes there that will pick up that block. From this hopper here, we will place 2 blocks. 1, 2. Your sound block, it's going to be a pumpkin for me. 4 more building blocks like this. And on this side, on your blocks of your line of 5, you place 1, 2, 3 pieces of dust, a repeater right here, a block right there, a temporary block right here, and then a sticky piston on the temporary block. Break the temporary block, and on this 3 piece, also 3 pieces of redstone dust. On this left hopper, we place a brewing stand with a dropper going into that. 2 slabs coming on this side. And then we complete this circuit by placing a comparator here. A redstone piece there. Your note block there. Repeater coming out. And 3 pieces of redstone dust there. From here, 1 comparator. 1 redstone on that 1 slab, and then 3 repeaters going into a block, going into a torch, and then 3 pieces of the redstone dust right here, which will make this sticky piston extend and grab that redstone block. You need 2 temporary blocks on this side, 1, 2, and then build a block, remove those temporary blocks, and place a torch on that side. Here with the tree, also 2 temporary blocks, a building block. Remove your temporary block and place a torch on the side so this piston also extends. On those 2 just placed blocks, we each put a redstone dust. On these 2 slabs, we also put 2 redstone dust. Into the hopper from above goes a hopper. 1 observer above the brewing stand and 1 observer going out here. I forgot that. And then 1 observer going up from there. Each of these last placed observers gets a fence gate, another hopper right there. 1 temporary block next to this fence gate, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. From the temporary block, we also make 2 this way, and then 1 there, 1 there, another temporary block there, and an end block right there. And make sure there's a temporary block right there. Remove this one and remove these three. Place a redstone torch on the line of this one, which I didn't place yet. 1, 2, and 3 at the end of this line, and 1 at the end of this line. The piston should now be retracted again. More redstone to place. On this most temporary block right here, a redstone block. You can now remove the temporary block. Redstone dust. Temporary block. Permanent block. Repeater. 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of dust. We cross. 1, 2 pieces of dust. A repeater on 2 ticks. And a piece of dust from this observer on the fence gate. And here an observer on that fence gate. Not there. There, facing up. A barrel sideways. From here we go 1, 2 observers. And then a sticky piston that should be able to push out that one block that we've placed floating. And then 1 observer into this redstone line right here. A hopper into that barrel with a L-shaped line of blocks right here with 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On that 7th block, you place a comparator facing out. A building block goes next to that comparator. You need to make a clock that points into each other with 2 hoppers. So you place 1 hopper down and then the other one facing into them. On the other end of the hoppers, 1 more comparator, 3 more building blocks, and a redstone repeater on 0 delay into that top hopper. Now it gets a little bit difficult. A redstone piece right there. A redstone piece right here and there with a repeater in between. A barrel on top. A redstone block on top of either or the hoppers. Doesn't matter which one. And if you aim at the 1 pixel hitbox of the redstone dust, you can place a sticky piston on either side of this redstone block. And it's going to be a little bit more tricky on this side. There we go. And now you place your 8 items into either hopper. If you want, you can place a repeater under the hopper that's closest. Flick it to make the clock stop going. And that was it. That was this part. For the smallest build of them all, but not less important, the book sorter, you will need an area that is 8 by 8 and then 5 blocks tall. You will need 10 building blocks, 5 redstone dust, 3 hoppers, 2 barrels, 2 blocks of redstone, 2 chests, 2 ferni, 2 sticky pistons, 2 observers, 2 redstone repeaters, 1 chiseled bookshelf, 1 comparator, 1 slime block, and 1 redstone torch. And if you want, you can light up the build with a torch. It's not needed. If you want to, you can totally do that. We start by placing a small U shape right here. A barrel right there, and then I advise you to have a different barrel in a different direction next to him so you can distinguish them from each other. Because both barrels will get a hopper on top. The barrel that is not upside down or right outside, that sideways, gets a redstone block right there with a slime block next to it and a furnace next to that with 3 building blocks next to that. Then from the other hopper, you place a redstone block right next to it. Another furnace. A building block. On the side of that building block, you place a redstone torch. You skip a block and then one redstone dust with a repeater on full delay. And then you place your sticky piston on this block right here, which should grab the redstone block. On this redstone block, you place a building block. On the furnace, hold shift, you place a comparator and a redstone dust. This circuit is now complete. We just need to put a chiseled bookshelf on this hopper and a hopper going into that. On the other two sides of the chiseled bookshelf, we place a observer, a sticky piston pushing down on this side, and a redstone line right here, right there, and one on the furnace, hold shift, and a repeater on 3 ticks between that. Now we just need the input chest, which is going on this one hopper. This was simple, right? One more part to go, and then it's time for a time lapse. This is a little bit more complicated build. I'm gonna start with this dropper elevator, and then I'm gonna build the rest around it. For the dropper elevator, you need a temporary block, have a sticky piston on that, and then a observer with the face going up, which is always hard to place. And I don't think I have it. There we go. Like I said, hard to place. Remove your temporary block. On the observer, you will place a building block. A observer goes to the left and right of this. Right there. And on the other side, you have to aim in a little bit of a weird angle like that. Temporary block underneath the sticky piston and remove the sticky piston for now. On the building block, you place a comparator. On the face of the observer, a node block. And on the other side, a dropper. Now you can place your sticky piston back in. We extend this dropper line by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the 7th goes sideways. Not like that, like this. Above the node block, we place a observer line going up, and then in between, above the comparator, from the bottom all the way up, every observer also gets an observer pointing into the droppers. From the bottom dropper, we place a line of hoppers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 more to the side. We place comparators to composers to prevent lag. While we place a temporary block right here, and then a double chest right there. Remove your temporary blocks and make a line of hoppers of 1, 2, 3, 4 into there. One hopper going into there with 3 composers on top. One more hopper going into there and 2 mud blocks next to each other with a line of building blocks of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 to the side. And your button right here. Place a temporary block next to this block. 2, 3. And place one more chest. One more double chest. Remove the temporary blocks and place 2 hoppers going into there. Place 1 composter over this hopper next to the chest. And build it in with building blocks. 1, 2, 3 right here. Glass here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go on the other side of the composter. 1, 2, 3. And then you need to build a 3x3. 1, 2, 3. A 3x3. 2 blocks like here. 1 block more. 1 glass. And then 1, 2, 3 blocks right here. And then at the end, 1 more. In between this gap, you place a repeater on full ticks. And there goes a dispenser, which you can fill up with as many arrows as you have. Place 1 armor stand right onto this mud block. And place any slab you like on the bottom side of these 2 blocks. Fortify this wall by 2 up. A dispenser right there. 1 building block there. And then the other dispenser goes right there. This dispenser gets read out by a comparator, a repeater on full ticks, and then 1, 2, 3 pieces of dust. With more glass on the other side. Input for your first dispenser. And red on the other side is the hopper. Then a repeater on full tick. A block. 2 more pieces of dust. 2 repeaters. The right one goes on full delay and the left one goes on 3 ticks. This is so that if there's an item coming through, it gets read out and then both dispensers get fired with a tick in between. And then once it is in the actual dispenser here, it will trigger this little circuit to fire off an arrow, so the armor stand that's here will be broken again. From this dispenser right here, we put a hopper going down, 2 into them, and then make a turn. And this should line up with your top dropper right there. Input chest on this hopper. And the only thing you need to do now is make the sorter for the armor stands. So place a temporary block or 2 right here. Place a building block right there. On the building block, a repeater. On each side of the repeater, a building block. Right there and right there. On this block, you place a redstone torch. On this middle block, you place 3 more like this, with a redstone, and a redstone. And then a comparator right here. Then there's a hopper going into there, and into there. And then under this last mud block, you place a hopper going into that hopper right there. In case your item is not an armor stand that gets filtered out, it needs to find a different way. We fill up this hopper right here that leads into the comparator with 4 items of your choice, either renamed or no, and 10 armor stands. Which looks like this. 4 pieces of flesh and 10 armor stands right here. So if there's an 11th coming in, this signal will tick over by just 1 and it will unlock these hoppers. So the armor stand will filter through, go into this little circuit here, and gets filtered back into this dispenser. You can fill up this dispenser right here with 9 stacks of armor stands. And you can also grab all your arrows to fill this back dispenser with. So this one is filled with arrows. And this one is filled with armor stands. And you can put extra armor stands in the hopper above it. Make sure there's always one armor stand right here, ready to receive boots in case the first item you actually put through happens to be boots. It has an armor stand right there. And that was my solution. I'm just going to showcase this build real quick. It is the ImpulseSV Sorter. And I'm just going to quickly time-lapse how you build that up in layers. And to show you what you need for this build, it's quite a lot. As you can see from the size, you will need Thank you for watching this tutorial / showcase video for my Piglin bartering solution. Here is the whole build one more time. We've just went through those. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse at the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please pause when needed and don't forget to keep on working on your redstone skills. If you have a request for another video, let me know. Comments are there. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.